Penguins go head to head with the Calgary Flames, and this one at the Saddle Dome. How do the Penguins and the Flames do at the Saddle Dome? We go to overtime? Did we go to a shootout? We're gonna find out right now on this edition of Penguins Postgame. My name is Scott McGregor, and it's time for Pittsburgh Penguins hockey on Sports for Beginners. Let's roll. You're locked in to Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Sidney Crosby and the Penguins play here on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Hey, Showcase scores! The bingo game is ready to roll. Welcome to Penguins postgame. PPG for PGH. And you'd have to be here to believe it. Here is your host, Scott McGregor. Well, howdy there, everybody. Howdy there, Penguins Nation. Howdy there, Flames Nation. Howdy there, Sea of Red, I should say. That's what we call the fan base of the Sea of Red, the Calgary Flames. Happy Victory Wednesday to you, Calgary Flame fans. You know what? Never mind the Victory Wednesday to you there. Anyways, it's good to see everyone. It's good to see everyone. Welcome to this edition of Penguins Post Game. My name is Scott McGregor here on Sports for Beginners podcast. This is Game 8 of 82 of our broadcast of Sports for Beginners, the podcast. Game 9 for the Penguins is on Friday night. Game 10 on Saturday night. But a little bit more about those in just a little bit. Before we get down to all of that, it should be noted that for the Calgary Flames, this was game number 6 of the 82 game 2024-2025 regular season. And the Calgary Flames are 5-0-1 in and first in their division of 8 teams. They are first in the Pacific Division at 5-0-1. The Pittsburgh Penguins, meanwhile, have dropped to 4th in the Metro Division. And with that all being said, let's jump right into how the Saddle Dome shaped up here. We're going to jump right into the starting goaltenders. Before we do that, time now to jump into our head coaches of conversation. For the Pittsburgh Penguins, it is, as always, Mike Sullivan. Ryan Huska is the head coach of the Calgary Flames. The goaltending matchup at the Saddle Dome, at the Scotiabank Saddle Dome, where the game would take place at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Central, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 2:30 in the UK, 3:30 in France, 3:30 a.m. in France, 2:30 a.m. in the UK, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, and 8:30 p.m. Central is the time of the game. The venue, as mentioned, was the Scotiabank Saddle Dome. Mike Sullivan and Ryan Huska, the head coaches for the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Calgary Flames. For Ryan Huska, the goaltenders against the Pittsburgh Penguins that he would send for the Calgary Flames. Number 32, Dustin Wolf, would get the start, backed up by number 80, Dan Valder. Joel Blomqvist would get the backup start for the Penguins to counter. And number 39, Alex Nedeljkovic, getting the start for the Pittsburgh Penguins in this game. So in terms of the backup, it would be Dan Valder, number 80, versus Joel Blomqvist, number 30. So number 80 and number 30 backing it up. And our matchup between the pipes is number 39, Alex Nedeljkovic, against number 32, Dustin Wolf. Dustin and Alex Nedeljkovic getting the start in a game that went quite well for the Flames and the Penguins. Well, that depends on who you ask. It looked like a very interesting contest that we're going to get into after a short break. We're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll break it all down period by period by period in our period by period summary. And the one thing I will issue quickly is that we will be talking about the next Penguins pre-show. Unfortunately, no Penguin pre-show happening in this game, ahead of this game at the Scotiabank Saddledome. But saddle on up to Rogers Place when the Oilers take on the Penguins, which we'll talk about over the course of the program, because you'll get Thomas to bring you the action before the action begins on Friday night. Of course, there is no Sports for Beginners program this week. It will be next week on the 1st of November. I'll record it on Halloween. And that is going to be some talk about Utah's strong start to the season. We're going to talk about the Utah Hockey Club's strong start to their season, among other things, but keeping it to today's matchup of conversation. The Penguins fell to the Flames 4-3 at the Scotiabank Saddledome in a shootout. So this game does go to overtime. But in the midst of it all, there's no penalties to speak of in overtime and no scoring to speak of in overtime. So we go to the shootout. And we're going to break it all down for you in just a matter of moments. You're listening to Pittsburgh Penguins hockey on Penguins Postgame. In just a little bit, we will go into a quick commercial break. And of course, we will break it all down when we return from the break. We'll break it all down, the scoring, penalties, all that jazz is coming up when we return on Penguins Postgame. But right now, as we go into the break, you are listening to Pittsburgh Penguins hockey on Sports for Beginners podcast on Penguins Postgame, which will continue right after this word from our friends at Take Another Look the podcast and those who are making our day brighter one song at a time. We will hear a word from Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter one song at a time. And we will also hear from Take Another Look the podcast, which you can catch every Wednesday evening, except on holidays or whenever possible, airing at 9 p.m. Eastern, only on Voices for Ability Radio, where it's all abilities all the time. Don't go anywhere. Penguins postgame will be right back as we break down all of the action from the Scotiabank Saddledome, from the period penalties to the period scoring, all of it coming up in a matter of moments right here on Penguins postgame. Stay with us.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down. Nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you very much, Nick, for those ads. Thank you so much to Ali, and thank you so much to Sean for sending us the ads for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio, making your day brighter one song at a time. Thank you so much to our man, Sean Pickard, for sending us the ad for Take Another Look, the podcast, airing every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, except on holidays, and also whenever possible. That is also available wherever you listen to podcasts, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts, even on Buzzsprout, if I'm not mistaken. Welcome back to Penguins Hockey on Sports for Beginners, the podcast. Welcome back into the studio here. My name is Scott McGregor. It's time to break down this wild game at the Scotiabank Saddledome. So saddle up, strap in for the wild ride. All right, everybody. Penguins and the Flames from the Scotiabank Saddledome. Here we go with our first period. And in this first period, well, not much happening here, but in the penalty summary, we'll start with that. Number 58, Christopher Letang, goes to the box 2 minutes for slashing. At 46 seconds in, the Flames do get a goal, the only goal in the first period, but before that, the Flames would take a penalty as number 76, Martin P, goes to the box 2 minutes for tripping. Time of the penalty, 13 minutes, 7 seconds. So that actually was after the Rasmus Andersson goal for his third goal of the season, which got things started. The Flames got things started up with the opening of the scoring. Justin Kirkland, number 58 of the Calgary Flames, on the assist, as well as number 70, Ryan Lundberg, his first of the season for Justin Kirkland, his second of the season. Time of the goal, 11 minutes, 48 seconds. Later in the period, the Penguins' penalty will go to number 24, Matt Grzelcyk, 2 minutes for tripping. Time of the penalty, 18 minutes, 48 seconds. All right. After 20, the Flames are on top, and we're all squaring the shot total at 12 shots on goal apiece. But after 20, it's the Flames 1 and the Penguins 0. Shot total in the second period, 13 for the Penguins, 6 for the Flames. And here's how it went down in the second period. As after 20, we have a lead in favor of the Calgary Flames. With that being said, moving on over to the second period. Here we go. And the second period will start the same way we did the first period. The third period's coming up in just a moment. And of course, we are going to take a break after we've gone through the first period scoring, penalties, which we just went through, the second period scoring and penalties, which we're going to go through now. And of course, our third period scoring and penalties as well, because we are going to get to the overtime period where not much happened, but we are going to get into, because of that, we are going to get into the shootout, which ended 3-2 in favor of the Flames, ultimately resulting in the 4-3 win for the Calgary Flames. All right, speaking of that, let's keep it going here in the second period. First off, a penalty will go to Evgeny Malkin, number 71 of the Penguins. This penalty to Malkin is for high sticking against Justin Kirkland. Time of the penalty to Malkin's high sticking penalty, 2 minutes 34 seconds in. At 5 minutes and 59 seconds in, Martin P takes his second penalty of the evening. He will take. This one is a 2-minute minor for holding the stick. It's called holding, but holding the stick would be better served there. This penalty for Martin P is a 2-minute minor for holding, and it came at 5 minutes and 59 seconds in. Penguins get a penalty going to Jesse Puljujarvi, this one for tripping. Jesse Puljujarvi going to the box for tripping. Time of the penalty, 13 minutes, 21 seconds. The Flames also score one final penalty in the second period. This one at 15 minutes and 54 seconds. It goes to number 96, Andrei Kuzmenko. 2 minutes for holding to Andrei Kuzmenko. 2 minutes for holding the stick against Erik Karlsson. Time of the penalty, 15 minutes, 54 seconds. On the penalty to Martin Popsil. Martin, if I pronounced the last name wrong, I apologize. If I got it right, thank you very much. You can let me know if you find out that I've gotten things done, or rather I have, messed up a name. I apologize if I do. Same goes for the head coaches and Mike Sullivan, and of course, Ryan Huska. Hopefully I've got those names right. Anywho, on that Martin Popsell goal, Popsell penalty, I should say, Brian Rust gets his second goal of the season, and it's not only his second goal of the season, but it's also his second goal on the power play, assisted by number 87, Sidney Crosby, and Erik Karlsson. Erik Karlsson picking up an assist on that as well. So for Brian Rust, number 17, it's his second goal of the season and second goal on the power play. For number 87, Sidney Crosby, that's Crosby's 6th assist of the season. Erik Karlsson picking up assist number 5 on the season on that goal by Brian Rust. Time of the goal, 6 minutes, 31 seconds. So the Penguins execute on the power play in this game. And after 40, we're all square. We are all square at, we are all square at 1 goal apiece. Penguins won, Flames won. On to the final 20 minutes, where the shots on goal were 11 for the Penguins and 7 for the Flames. I almost said Maple Leafs there. Oops. Just said that there, but you know what? It's okay. I meant to say the Flames. So 7 for the Flames, 11 for the Penguins. And the Penguins do regain the lead, but they do it twice. But Calgary would just not go away. Here's how the penalties shape up here before we get to the wild third period scoring. Here we go. Only one penalty to be called in the third period. That goes to Michael Backlund. His penalty at 29 seconds into the third period. 2 minutes for kneeing. Time of the penalty, and this is against Drew O'Connor. Time of the penalty to Michael Backlund, number 11 of the Calgary Flames, is 29 seconds in. He is getting a 2-minute minor for kneeing Drew O'Connor. And that would be the only penalty to speak of in the third period. Unfortunately, though, the Penguins unable to score on the power play that time. But they do score moments later. Rickard Rakell giving the Penguins their first lead of the night on this Tuesday night, because that is when the game got going, on Tuesday night. We are recording it the night after the game, which is Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024. Anyways, Rickard Rakell, 4th goal of the season, assisted by number 13, Kevin Hayes, his first assist of the season, and by number 24, Matt Grzelcyk, his 3rd assist of the season. Time of the goal, 2 minutes, 32 seconds. Remember how I said Calgary wouldn't go away? Well, they stayed close with Pittsburgh, and here's a good reason why. Mackenzie Weegar, number 52 of the Flames, gets this game even 7 minutes and 46 seconds into the third period, back at 2-2. We are tied at 2-2. Penguins 2, Flames 2, after Rickard Rakell picked up the Penguins' first lead. That gave the Penguins a 1-goal lead as they would go up 2-1 on the Flames, on the Rakell goal, on the Weegar goal, assisted by Daniel Marimov, Darnell Maron, DM. I'll just say DM. Sorry about that. Again, if I pronounce anybody's name wrong, I'll make sure to get it back ready. Oh, and you know what? There was one thing I missed when I was doing the thing here. The number of this dude. Let's see. Who is he? Who is he? Number 62. DM. First assist of the season for him. And that was the only assist. Oh, actually, nope, never mind. Nope. Never mind. There was also an assist by Blake Coleman, number 20 of the team. Blake Coleman. So Blake Coleman comes out of this game with 2 assists. And both of them being his third and second assist of the season. So not too shabby for Blake Coleman. Blake Coleman, speaking of which, his third assist came on a clutch goal by Nazem Kadri. But his first assist of the night came on the Mackenzie Weegar goal to make it 2-2 at 7 minutes and 46 seconds in. At 13 minutes and 40 seconds in, the former Toronto Maple Leaf, Noel Acciari, picks up his first goal of the season as a member of the Penguins. And of course, we will see Cody Glass pick up his third assist of the season. And Marcus Pettersson, those are number 19 and 28, picking up their third assist of the season. Penguins back in front, 3-1, 13 minutes and 40 seconds after that goal. Well, actually, I should say a couple minutes after that goal. Late in the period, no penalty was called here, but late in the period, the Flames go 6-on-5. And this one is stopped by Nedeljkovic, but then Nazem Kadri buries it on the rebound. And it's going to be Nazem Kadri forcing overtime with his third goal of the season. So Nazem Kadri forces overtime. And then the goaltenders stay sharp in overtime to force the shootout. Nazem Kadri forces overtime, his third goal of the season. Blake Coleman, his third assist of the season. Second of the night. Rasmus Andersson picking up an assist here. The only assist he would pick up in the game. Because shortly after that, we go to overtime, and then we go to the shootout, which we will take a break and come back to break that down for you in a moment. But before we do, Andersson's assist, his 5th assist of the season, that is on the Kadri goal at 19 minutes, 17 seconds. Kadri comes up clutch, just like Noel Acciari came up clutch for the Penguins. And wouldn't you know it, after 60 minutes, we are all square at 3 goals apiece. 3 for the Penguins and 3 for the Flames. On to overtime we go. Not much to speak of here, but I will go over the shots on goal by period. 2 shots on goal for the Pittsburgh Penguins. No shots on goal on the Flames side of things. So the Penguins outshoot the Calgary Flames, and we'll reiterate this after our shootout breakdown. But after 65 minutes, we remain we remain at 3-3 tie, at a 3-3 tie. We remain at a 3-3 tie. The shot total that we'll reiterate after we go through the shootout is that the Penguins outshot the Flames 38-25. And we'll get to their shootout result in a matter of moments. Before we get to all of that, we are going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, after this word from Broadcast Map and a word from our station, probably from Weekly in Sport, we will see. We will break down the first shootout of the 2024-2025 regular season for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I should note, coming into overtime against the Calgary Flames, the Penguins were 1-0 after the milestone night just this past Wednesday night when they battled the Sabres back in Pittsburgh a couple nights ago. In a milestone night for Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby. We'll talk about the shootout, which was the first time the Penguins went into the shootout this season. We'll talk about that when we return to Penguins postgame. Stay with us. 3 stars, the remainder of the game stats, right after the shootout when we return to Penguins postgame. Shake of the game is also upcoming, as well as the play of the game, and much more. So don't you dare miss it. We'll be right back after this. Looking for a good hockey podcast that covers your favorite hockey teams and mine? Check out On the Ice and Behind the Benches, where we chat about our favorite hockey teams from puck drop to the last play of the action. To learn more, follow the On the Ice and Behind the Benches Facebook page. Search On the Ice and Behind the Benches. Welcome back to Penguins postgame. Welcome back to Penguins postgame. Show 8 of 82 on Penguins postgame, streaming on the Ice and Behind the Benches. Part of Penguins Wednesday Hockey, which drops a couple of shows today from previous recordings of Penguins postgame. My name is Scott McGregor. You can catch this one on the next edition of Penguins Wednesday Hockey. Maybe you'll catch it later in the day on Penguins Hockey Wednesday. Every Wednesday, off day, the Penguins have an off day. When the Penguins have an off day, every Wednesday, only on the Ice and Behind the Benches. Continuing on in the Calgary Flames 4-3 shootout win over the Pittsburgh Penguins. So the Penguins may have outshot the Calgary Flames 38-25. Well, they certainly didn't win the matchup, and here's how it all went down. We go to the shootout, we're tied at 3, 65 minutes didn't decide the game, so we got to go to a shooter versus goalie shootout for the first time this season. First up, it will be Ricard Raquel versus Andrei Kuzmenko for Konsmenko. It was a miss. Ricard Raquel scores on the first opportunity. Round 2. Crosby. His shot missed Dustin Wolf. Now the Calgary Flames' second shooter, Anthony Mantha. Anthony Mantha, number 39. That one beats Nedeljkovic. Calgary has tied up the shootout at 1. This ended in a 3-2 win for the Flames in the shootout. But this one by Anthony Mantha ties it up, a goal. Next shooter for the Penguins is Brian Rust. His shot beats Dustin Wolf for the goal. It's a goal. Penguins up 2-1. Rasmus Anderson next to shoot for the Flames. His shot beats Nedeljkovic, and we are tied at 3. Chris Letang takes on Connor Zary. He takes on Connor Zary. Both guys miss, and they get stopped by Dustin Wolf, and Alex Nedeljkovic. Next up, Lars Eller and Nazem Kadri. Eller without a goal in the game today. Without a goal in this game tonight on a Tuesday night. He misses. And Nazem Kadri also misses. He is stopped by Nedeljkovic. So it comes down to this. Evgeny Malkin can win it for the Penguins. But if he misses, Justin Kirkland can bring the game to victory. Justin is first to shoot. His shot goes in. And now it's up to Dustin Wolf. Evgeny Malkin takes the puck. Justin Kirkland has given the Calgary Flames the lead. If Malkin misses or is stopped, the game is done, and the Flames win 4-3. If he scores, we roll on. Malkin has the puck, and he is stopped by Dustin Wolf, and the Flames go to victory on the goal that put this game on ice at 4-3. They get the game's first lead, the Flames do, and then they get the game's ending lead to ice it. It's Justin Kirkland in the shootout who wins it for the Flames. Alright, with that being said, that wraps up the period-by-period summary in a two-parter, as the Penguins beat the Penguins. The Flames beat the Penguins 3-2 in the shootout to ultimately result in a 4-3 victory over the Penguins in a 6-round shootout. Where the Penguins score twice and the Flames managed to score 3 times. So Calgary wins it 4-3 at the Scotiabank Saddledome. They'll do battle again, this one in Pittsburgh, on opening night of the 2024-2025 PWHL Season 2 regular season, Saturday night in Pittsburgh on November 30th, 2024. Officials in this game that could be seen on Sportsnet Pittsburgh and Sportsnet 1. Brandon Schrader, Peter McDougall, Caleb Upperson, and Travis Tomey. Scratched in this game for the Penguins, Tristan Jarry, Ryan Shea, and Valtteri Pustinen. Tyson Barrie and Joel Hanley out for the Calgary Flames in this game. And the Flames pick up a 4-3 win. But the good news for the Penguins, they pick up a victory. Well, not really a victory. They don't pick up a victory, because that would have meant they got the extra 2 points in overtime or in the shootout and beat the Flames 4-3. In this case, it's Calgary with the extra 2 points, but the Penguins get a point as they go into overtime to get a point. But in the end, it was Justin Kirkland who gave the Penguins a 4-3 loss in the shootout. So ultimately, this game, Penguin fans and Sea of Red fans for the Flames, ultimately this game came down to who had the puck last, and of course, who could score the final goal, which that belongs to Justin Kirkland. All right. With that all being said, let's move this thing right along and go into the rest of the game stat. This game saw 76 face-off, and the Penguins won 48 of those 76 face-offs, winning 63.2% of the face-off. The Calgary Flames won 28 of the 76 face-off for a face-off percentage of 36.8%. The Penguins execute on one of their 4 power play opportunities for 25%. Not great, but at least you scored on one of your opportunities. The Penguins' penalty kill, perfect 4 for 4, killing off all 4 penalties that Calgary was given a power play opportunity for. The Penguins' penalty kill, killed off all 4 of the penalties assessed to them. Calgary killed off 3 out of 4. Of course, they did give up a goal on the man advantage to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Both teams spent 8 minutes each in the penalty box. The Penguins finished the game with 31 hits. The Flames finished with 24 hits. Flames finished the game with 11 blocked shots, 17 giveaways, and 3 takeaways. The Penguins finished the game with 21 blocked shots, 17 giveaways, and 7 takeaways. And once again, our shot total, Penguins outshooting the Flames 38-25. Your 3 stars are coming up in just a moment. But before we get there, I want to go into my play of the game. And if we had a sponsor for this would be brought to you by your neighborhood Ford stores. Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs are the official vehicles of the Pittsburgh Penguins. But we, however, do not have sponsors for this. So this right now is... Oh, hang on one second. Make sure I got this thing here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I don't want to make sure I'm playing the recap there while we are recording here. So just quickly there. My play of the game is going to go to Noel Achari, coming up clutch on a wraparound I really like the pass from Marcus Pettersson to Cody Glass. And I like how Noel Acciari is able to pounce, I guess, maybe on a rebound and wrap it right around Dustin Wolf. This ultimately made it 3-2. The old two Niners play of the game, if you were listening to Penguins Live post-game on the Night Owl Club. Night Owl alert, Night Owl alert. He said it was going to go to Nazem Kadri for that clutch goal right in the wheelhouse where the Flames were able to force overtime, and then both goaltenders were sharp in overtime for 65 minutes. So we don't end this game in overtime. We need this Night Owl Club, Late Owl Club, Late Night Owl Club. We need this one to go to the shootout, and it's Justin Kirkland who is credited with the game-winning goal that gave Calgary the 4-3 win after Anthony Mantha, Rasmus Andersson, Brian Rust, and Rickard Rakell score in a 6-round shootout. It was Justin Kirkland with the game-ending play. So my play of the game is going to go to Noel Acciari. I thought it was a really nice goal. Now it's time for your 3 stars of the game. If you listen to it on the radio, again, we don't have sponsors here, but your 3 stars are brought to you by on the Penguins Radio Network. They're brought to you by your neighborhood Ford stores in Pittsburgh. Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs are the official vehicles of the Pittsburgh Penguins. We don't have no sponsor here, but just a quick little bring around there. That if you were listening on the radio network, Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs are the official vehicles of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Here we go with our 3rd star of the game for this game. That is number 32, the goaltender, Dustin Wolf. Comes out of this game with a 2.82 goals against average, a save percentage of .921, gave up 3 goals, 1 on the power play, 2 at even strength. Your 2nd star is Rickard Rakell, no apples or assists, rather 1 goal and 1 point. And your 1st star of the game, the defenseman for the Calgary Flames, number 4, Rasmus Andersson, a goal, an assist, equivalent for 2 points. So it's Rasmus Andersson, Rickard Rakell, and Dustin Wolf. Those are your 3 stars of the game. When we return in about 5 minutes for a second, we will get into the shake of the game, the game pucks of the game, and wrap this up with we will wrap it up with our next 5 for the Penguins, next 5 for the Flames. That's coming up in 30 seconds. But coming up after this break, what else went down on Tuesday night in the NHL? Plus the game pucks of the game and the shake of the game. No introduction for the shake of the game going to happen. Same as no introduction for the 3 stars of the game, which we just did. But we will have those for you over the course of the next season. Not going to do it the remainder of this season. Just want to see how it goes down. All right. We'll be back on Penguins Postgame in just a little bit with the game pucks of the game. What went down on Tuesday night? Plus, what went down on Tuesday night? Plus, the game pucks of the game, the shake of the game, right after the break, followed by the game pucks of the game after our breakdown of a busy night on a Tuesday evening. It's not so busy this Wednesday night, but we'll talk about that after the 30-second break. Brings us to the next 5 for the Penguins and the next 5 for the Flames. That's still to come. But coming up next, the shake of the game pucks of the game, and a brief look around the NHL, where we take a look at a busy Tuesday night. All that when Penguins postgame continues in just a moment. Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout-outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bills, Raptors, and more. To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners.
Looking for conversations on books and more, as well as tutorials on using your favorite devices and applications? You've come to the right place. Join us weekly on Spicy Techie, where Ali and Sienna provide insightful conversations as well as useful tips and tricks to help you along on your technological journey. To learn more, tune into the show and like the Spicy Techie Facebook page. Search for Spicy Techie.
Welcome back to Penguins postgame here. Penguins and Flames. 8th broadcast of 82 between the Pens and the Flames. The Penguins are not in action until Friday night when they will take on the Edmonton Oilers. Thomas will have you set up for that on Penguins pre-show. More on that after the 30-second break. But before we get down to the shake of the game, I know I said that was coming up right in the beginning of this program's segment that we're doing now, but we're going to go ahead and break down what went down in the NHL on Tuesday night, minus the 4-3 shootout win for the Calgary Flames. The Philadelphia Flyers lost to the Washington Capitals 4-1 as they dropped their 5th straight in a row, and the Capitals have won now 4 straight in a row. Speaking of wins, the Toronto Maple Leafs, who were in a back-to-back action on Tuesday night, with a game on Monday night, the only game on Monday night, where they defeated they defeated the Tampa Bay Lightning 5-2. They fell to the Columbus Blue Jackets 6-2 on Tuesday night. The Seattle Kraken fell to the Colorado Avalanche 3-2 Tuesday evening. The Minnesota Wild defeated the defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers 5-1. 8-5 the final in New Jersey between the Devils and the Lightning. The Buffalo Sabres defeat the Dallas Stars in Buffalo 4-2. The New York Rangers beat the Canadiens 7-2. Only one goal scored against the Islanders in that game, and the Red Wings shut out the Islanders 1-0, despite the shots on goal not being in their favor. The Winnipeg Jets also picking up a W. They pick up a W against the Blues 3-2. The Vancouver Canucks, who the Penguins will face on Saturday night, pick up a dub against the Chicago Blackhawks. 6-3 the final. They're in Chicago. The Ducks defeat the Sharks 3-1. The Vegas Golden Knights defeat the Kings 6-1. The Oilers are defeated in Edmonton 3-2 in overtime, despite Connor McDavid scoring twice. The Nashville Predators shut out the Boston Bruins 4-0, but they weren't the only shutout that was 4-0. The Ottawa Senators, on the cusp of Drake Bafferson, Claude Giroux, Ridley Gregg, and Brady Tkachuk, shut out the Utah Hockey Club in Utah 4-0. All right, so that's your look around the league at games that were on Tuesday night. We mentioned the Maple Leafs were on a back-to-back. They beat the Lightning 5-2 on Monday night, lost 6-2 to the Columbus Blue Jackets on Tuesday night, the night of this game. The Philadelphia Flyers on the back-to-back after their loss to the Capitals at 4-1. They will play the Capitals again. It's a home-and-home series, and that will be at 7:30 p.m. Eastern tonight. We will continue to talk about that a little later. But as we continue on, it's time now for your shake of the game. And my shake of the game, the pick-me-up, first of all, is going to go to... This one's going to go to... It is going to go to Erik Karlsson. An assist, a point, no goals. He was a -1. Played 24 minutes and 33 seconds of ice time in 25 shifts. I like that Karlsson did not go to the penalty box in this game. I also like that he had at least 2 shots on goal. But dude, the giveaways, 3 giveaways for Erik Karlsson. Dude, I mean, giveaways are nice, but you gotta try to get some takeaways there. And he, unfortunately, was unable to do that on this game. Shake of the game is going to go to Alex Nedeljkovic. I thought he played a little bit better than his first start, even though he's lost in each of his starts that he's played so far. I thought, despite facing 25 shots and making 22 saves, giving up 3 even strength goals, I thought despite finishing the game with an .880 save percentage, I thought Nedeljkovic played really well. So Karlsson with the pick-me-up, Nedeljkovic with the shake of the game. We'll get to my Pittsburgh Penguins game pucks of the game in a little bit. For the Calgary Flames, the shake of the game, pick-me-up, is going to go to Dustin Wolf. He faced 38 shots, made 35 saves. Gave up a goal on the power play and 2 goals at even strength. But ends the game playing only 63 minutes and 55 seconds. Ending the game with a save percentage of .925. Not too shabby for Dustin Wolf. Not too shabby for Dustin Wolf. The shake of the game, however, is going to go to... It is going to go to... Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? It is going to go to Nazem Kadri. The stats speak for themselves, but I'm going to give it to Nazem Kadri. Game pucks of the game. Let's start with the Flames. I've got 3 guys I want to do. Nazem Kadri is 1. I'm also going to give 1 out to Rasmus Andersson. And finally, we're going to go ahead and give 1 to Martin Popsol. We're going to give 1 to Martin P., who took 2 penalties in this game. But he did come up clutch when it mattered. He did come up some clutch when it mattered. So Martin P., Nazem Kadri, and as I said, we're going to give it also to Rasmus Andersson. Those are the game pucks of the game for this game for the Calgary Flames. For the Pittsburgh Penguins, we are going to give a game puck of the game to Alex Nedeljkovic. We're going to give 1 to goal scorers Rickard Rakell and Noel Acciari. And we're also going to give 1 to Brian Rust, who scored the game's first goal for the Pittsburgh Penguins that tied up the game after the Calgary Flames got the game's first lead in the first period. In that second period, it was the penalty. It was the penalty to Martin P. that Brian Rust scored on. And that would give us a tie hockey game moments later. So the game pucks of the game, the shake of the game are done. We are almost at an hour into the program here. We're at 56 minutes in, going on to 57. So we are going to take a quick time out. Hear a quick word from our friends at Take Another Look, the podcast. When we come back in 30 seconds, what's next for the Pens? What's next for the Flames? We'll wrap up the show with what's next for the Flames, what's next for the Pens, all of that when we return in 30 seconds from this word from Take Another Look, the podcast. We'll be right back with more on Penguins Postgame in a moment.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, 2 powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Welcome back to Penguins Postgame. Penguins and the Flames. Game number 8 of 82 for the Penguins. Broadcast number 8 of 82 for Penguins Postgame. It is time to put this show on ice. Before we do, however, and we get into our attendance record and all those other things, which we will do, we're not going to reiterate our officials for this one. But I will reiterate I will reiterate the head coaches in Ryan Huska, and of course, the one and only Mike Sullivan. We're going to start with the Calgary Flames. Speaking of which, we're going to start with the Calgary Flames and Ryan Huska. They're back in action tomorrow night as they will play in Calgary 2 more times. They will play the Carolina Hurricanes on Sportsnet West on Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern to kick off their next 5. They will then play the Winnipeg Jets on Saturday. That's a early game at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We will also see them later go head-to-head with the Vegas Golden Knights next Monday night on October 28th, of 2024. They're back at it with Utah as they take on the Utah Hockey Club on the 30th of October. And then they're back at it home against McDavid and the Oilers on November the 3rd, which is a Sunday. And of course, we will also see the New Jersey Devils in the Saddle Dome on Friday, November the 1st, 2024. All right. With that all being said, we are about an hour into this, so we are going to get into wrapping this one up. Here we go. So, Carolina, Winnipeg, Vegas, Utah, and New Jersey are the next 5 for the Calgary Flames. Next up, in the next 5 for the Pittsburgh Penguins, they will play in Edmonton on Friday night. It's a back-to-back, so they will do a quick turnaround into Vancouver as they will play the Vancouver Canucks on Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Back home for 3 against Minnesota, Anaheim, and Montreal. And there you have it. Because they'll be on the road after that in Long Island to take on the Islanders. So the next 5 for the Pittsburgh Penguins. 2 more late games here in the month of October. They will play Edmonton on Friday night. They'll play Vancouver Saturday night. And of course, then we're back to afternoon programming, evening programming, I should say, here on Penguins postgame, as the Penguins host the Minnesota Wild on this Tuesday, October 29th, 2024, back at it on October 31st against Anaheim and the Ducks. And then they will play the Montreal Canadiens on Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday, November the 2nd, 2024. That's going to do it for this edition of Penguins Postgame. But before we go here, now that we are in an hour and about 2 minutes into the hour mark here, I want to wrap up here by letting you guys know that our next broadcast will be ahead of the Canucks and Penguins game. We will break down the action from Rogers Place in Edmonton, Alberta. And shout out to our Alberta listeners. If you are listening to the show by the time it drops, we will be recapping the game from Edmonton between the Oilers and the Penguins both the Penguins and Oilers and the Calgary Flames and the Penguins. They will battle once again for the Flames. They will battle once again on Saturday, November 30th, 2024. For the Edmonton Oilers, they will battle tonight. Sorry, not tonight. They will battle on Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Our coverage will come your way ahead on Penguins postgame. Our coverage will come your way right after the game, but ahead of the next game the Penguins play, which will be against the Vancouver Canucks. And of course, that series with the Oilers wraps up on January the 9th in 2025 in Pittsburgh. All right. Before we wrap it all up, head coaches of the upcoming game for the Penguins, Mike Sullivan and Chris Knobloch and Chris K. Chris, if I pronounced your last name wrong, I apologize. But that is the next matchup for the Pittsburgh Penguins. We'll do it all again with Calgary in Pittsburgh next month, at the end of next month, when the Flames are here in Pittsburgh for what should be a really interesting contest between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Calgary Flames. But one game at a time. Wrapping up the show here, Flyers and Capitals, the only game on tomorrow. The only game on tonight, I should say. But the Flames beat the Penguins 4-3 in the shootout. In 6 rounds of a shootout. And that went down in front of 17,025 fans in attendance. The Penguins and the Flames will do it all again later next month. But before they do that, the Penguins have 2 nights off, as they will not see action until Friday night in Edmonton. We'll talk to you ahead of the Canucks game on Penguins postgame. But that is going to do it for Penguins postgame for this show. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us here today on the podcast. Would love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day or evening whenever you may be tuning in. And I look forward to catching up with you again real soon. And if you're sticking around, not just for postgame, but for everything else in between, the end of the month weekly and sports show is going to be recorded today, and it will drop on Thursday. It's our October program, as we have hit the end of the month. This is one of our last weekly in sports programs for Weekly in Sports before the transition begins in 2025. In December of 2024, the transition will begin where Weekly in Sports will become its own, and I mean its own, podcast. More on that on the Weekly in Sports show. That is going to do it for Penguins hockey here on Sports for Beginners, the podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining us here today. Would love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Let's go Pens! And I'll catch you ahead of Penguins and Canucks to break down the Oilers and the Pens. Thomas will get you ready for the game. On game day, I will have you before Penguins and Canucks. for the Penguins post-game show, Penguins and the Oilers. It's a back-to-back situation. We'll see who the goaltenders are when we come to talk to you on Saturday ahead of Penguins versus Canucks, as we break down the action from Rogers Place in Edmonton, Alberta. That's where the Penguins will be Friday night. We will talk to you then. You've just listened to Pittsburgh Penguins hockey, and let's go Pens. We will see you after the game in Edmonton. Talk to you then, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building. You've just listened to Pittsburgh Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners or visit the official Sports for Beginners podcast website. Thanks for listening, and until next time, stay tuned. And remember that it is not goodbye, it is until next time. And you'd have to be here to believe it. Thank you so much for checking in to Penguins postgame this season, Penguins fans. Your host of the Sports for Beginners podcast, Scott McGregor, here. I just wanted to let you guys know that it brings me great joy to bring you a show like the one we brought you last year, and it brings me even more joy with everything that has come out of it as well, as we try to navigate through quite a year with milestone after milestone in the month of October and the month of September. As mentioned again, my name is Scott McGregor, but if you have any questions, any concerns, any content you want aired on the program, please send me an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast 8231 at gmail.com. Once again, that's Sports for Beginners podcast 8231 at gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast and for listening to this episode of Penguins Postgame. We will see you next time right here on Sports for Beginners. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you again soon.